And we're Wild Stallions!
Bill and Ted are best friends who love to play guitars with absolutely no skill. But a lack of education puts them in a bit of a jam.
I have no choice but to flunk the both.
For whatever reason, if they fail their history final, humanity will be doomed forever.
Bogus!
The world's smartest and greatest minds from the future come up with an awesome plan. Give these guys, whose IQ combined is less than 50, a time machine to mindlessly travel around unsupervised. Because nothing could possibly go wrong. Or does it?
69, dude!
No, nothing goes wrong.
What?
Jump in on one triumphant ride, on one bodacious trip, on one excellent adventure.
Excellent!
Alright. That hurts me every time. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure is the most non-heinous movie that was born in 1989. And while it did get fairly positive reviews at the box office, it eventually spawned a sequel and actually created a mass cult following that spans multiple generations. Now, if you've never seen this movie before, stop what you're doing, go watch it, because there's going to be a lot of spoilers. The majority of people really only know of the first movie and its sequel, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey. But what you may not know is this franchise is actually much larger than these two movies, but most of it, ironically, has been lost in time. I'm talking 2 animated series, 1 live action series, 4 video games, 3 comic books, a musical, and a live action horror show every year at Universal Studios. In the past couple of weeks, I've watched, I've read, I've played everything Bill and Ted related, except for the fan fictions, because some of you guys are fucking gross. Just stop. Stop it. I'm going to break it apart. I'm going to talk about the things that are actually really good, that deserve the title of Bill and Ted. And I'm also going to be talking about the shit that should have never been made in the first place. Before we get into this, I just have one question. And I'm sure a lot of you people that are familiar with this franchise have the same question.
Eventually, your music will help put an end to war and poverty. It will align the planets and bring them into universal harmony.
What is it about the Wild Stallions music that gains so much traction and actually achieves, for the first time ever, world peace? Now I'm going to talk about everything in the order that they've been released. Starting off, of course, with Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure.
Be excellent to each other.
Party on, dude.
And the start of it all was in 1989. The iconic duo, the start of a meme. The birth of intense air guitar. Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure. Sure, the premise seems a little iffy, but hey, it's a damn good movie. Rufus, a professor from the future, bets everything on the fact that Bill and Ted's band, the Wild Stallions, could save the world.
Wild Stallions' music has become the foundation of our whole society.
But they're just about to split up forever if they don't pass their history final. He gets a time machine and sends Bill and Ted through time to collect a bunch of historical figures, bring them back to the future, have them do their entire school report, and get them a passing grade in history. Did they end up learning history? No, they probably didn't learn a damn thing.
Who was Joan of Arc?
Noah's wife?
They save some babes from the medieval era of England, bring them back to the future, which, doesn't change history in the slightest. Psh, yeah, butterfly effect my ass. Oh yeah, and Napoleon loves water slides.
Water slide.
Keep that in mind for later, because it's gonna come back. He fucking loves water slides. Next up, in September 15th, 1990, Bill and Ted's Animated Adventures. Or as it's actually called, Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures.
Want to take the most awesome trip through time? Well, now you can. All right, on Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures. Today on CBS Kid TV.
I had been selected for a most important journey. I was to help fulfill the destiny of the 2 great ones, Bill and Ted.
Wild Stallions rule! Whenever time stands still.
It got all of the makings of a classic Saturday morning cartoon show. Cheesy animation, cheesy intro song, cheesy jokes.
What's that racket? I'm gonna get the law on you. Oh, it is the law.
Cheesy jokes about cheese.
Throw them in the dungeon. Chain them to the wall. and no milk chocolate.
Whoa, this Swiss is cheesed off.
What's cool is that Alex Winter actually voices Bill, Keanu Reeves voices Ted, and even George Carlin as Rufus.
This looks most amusing.
Hey, that's me! If it looks somewhat familiar, that's because Hanna-Barbera actually does some of the animation. I'm sure you know them from their multiple shows such as Scooby-Doo, The Jetsons. The one thing I didn't understand from the animated was in one episode when Rufus was stealing bowling shoes, because in the future, apparently...
Bowling is outlawed in the future.
But I don't get it, because in Excellent Adventure, in the intro even, he says...
Bowling averages are way up. Mini golf scores are way down.
Sitting through this, I actually really enjoyed it. If I were watching this as a child, I would definitely be a big fan of it. Because anyone can make a show about Abraham Lincoln, Genghis Khan, Napoleon, Da Vinci, Caesar, but I really like the nods that they've made to the lesser-known parts of history, such as Kublai Khan with Marco Polo, Doubleday, the inventor of baseball, Wyatt Earp, Grace O'Malley. They even make decent nods to popular folk heroes like John Henry and his famous iron driving race. With Adam dying, of course. Now, I say nods to history for a reason. This show is by no means historically accurate. China did not have dry cleaning, Bill and Ted did not invent takeout, Brutus did not try to kill Caesar with poison. It just goes on from there. There are several things I noticed while watching this. The princesses weren't in it. They came in at the end of Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventures, but in Adventures, not there. However, there is an episode where they go back in time and the princesses are still there. I would definitely say this franchise is true to the series. It definitely deserves the Bill and Ted title too.
Excellent adventures. Most triumphant.
The animation actually launched its own... I'll get that later. Launched its own brand of cereal too. Bill and Ted's Excellent Cereal. Easy one to come up with, huh? So, let's go ahead and try it out. Mind you, 1990. Here we go. Good glue. They don't do this anymore. Jesus Christ. It's like even the plastic went stale. Sounds like cardboard. All right. Stop that. Good job. Good job. Tastes a little bit like shit. What also came out in 1990 was Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure, the video game for the PC. This is your basic game based off of a movie. Like literally the same exact thing as the movie. They go back in time, collect the people from the movie that they can get, so that they can get a passing history grade.
Excellent.
They add a few extra characters. The gameplay is a little weird. You got Pac-Man, you got Street Fighter. Each year is like a different kind of play mode. You know the thing I liked the most about the first movie? Was when Bill and Ted went to ancient Greece to collect all the Dragon Balls.
Barunga wants to know what your third wish is. Do you know when the Mongols ruled China? He's not serious, is he?
Now some characters go with you right away, but the other ones need some convincing. So you have to find objects from other time periods, bring them back, and then they'll go with you. But don't forget, you're under the clock. If you don't get all the characters in time, you fail the class, Ted gets sent to Alaska, and all of mankind is totally fucked. It is a really quick game though, easy to beat in at least 15-20 minutes. Who's really gonna complain? Next up, the second movie to the installment and greatly argued to be the better of the two movies. I don't know if I agree, but 1991, Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey was released.
No longer will we hear this! We will stop them now! Brothers and sisters! Are we ready?
Now this was gonna be it. This was where Bill and Ted were gonna stop being so immature and become the rock gods that was fucking terrible. I'm never doing that shit again. And become the rock gods to save the entire planet. But this time around, Denomalos. A villain. Someone who is actually anti-world peace is introduced.
Denomalos, my old teacher.
Rufus, my favorite pupil.
He creates evil robot Bill and Ted clones to kill the real Bill and Ted.
Catch you later, Bill and Ted!
And after death, they float around as ghosts and fight through hell.
Who's that? Ted, who do you think it is, dude?
With a giant evil Easter bunny and Bill's grandmother that only wants a kiss? This is your worst nightmare? This? Your loving grandmother who only wants a peck on the cheek. That's it. That's hell for you. The fuck, bro?
J7.
You have sunk my battleship.
Well, they beat the Grim Reaper at a game, befriend him, and their prize is life. They end up in heaven, meet God, collect a super genius known as Station, to build some good robot clones so that they can kill the evil robots, and allow the Wild Stallions to play the Battle of the Bands so that they can save the world.
Catch you later, Bill and Ted! Catch you later, Bill and Ted!
Denomalos shows up and they play a game of who has the power of time travel. They win, and realize that they don't know shit about playing the guitar. They go into their booth and travel. An unknown period of time passes, but when they come back, they're married to the princesses, have kids, and rock the guitar. Or so they tell us. They end up winning the Battle of the Bands, but by blatantly lip-syncing. The movie ends with a flow of newspaper articles that talk about the future of Wild Stallions and how they in fact did impact the future in a most triumphant way. About 2 months after the release of Bogus Journey, a Gameboy game was released. And they named it A Bill and Ted's A Game Boy Adventure. I like this guy. Whoever's coming up with these titles, keep them. Can't beat that shit. Let's see what this is all about. Denomalos is at it again. He has a plan to change the future. This time, the time frame is out of whack and you have to collect objects that apparently change throughout each level. And your objective is to collect all of them in order to bring the future back to normal. And also, all the historical figures you helped are all fucked up in the head and try to kill you. Even Einstein wasn't even in the movies. Someone forgot to do the research. It's a puzzle platformer. At first it seems really simple, but the further you go, the harder it gets. You have to plan out what item to collect in a certain order, otherwise you're fucked. There is a bit of strategy to it. And you can't attack either. You can't jump on their heads, you can't do any damage to them. So basically if you're touched, or if you touch anything that's dangerous, you're fucked. Dead. I actually really like this game. It's a lot of fun to play. And I think it does have some replay value. But, is it a Bill and Ted game? Definitely not. Honestly, you could put anyone else's name on here and it could be a story about them. You can make this a freaking Dragon Ball Z game. You can make this a Rugrats game. You could make this a Lizzie McGuire game. You can make this a Wayne's World game. Hell, if you just replace the main characters with a picture of Lara Croft and turn all the people into zombies, that would actually be a little bit more believable. also released in 1991. Another video game, but this time for the Atari Lynx. Now, I don't own an Atari Lynx. I don't know anyone else that actually does have one. And yeah, holy fuck. I am not purchasing one for this vid. But luckily, I found an emulator. Just bear with me here. That was one bitchin' soundtrack. Oh yeah? No explanation? Just fucking launch me into ancient Egypt? No, that's cool. Yeah, sure. Like your early 90s games, it's not easy to navigate without a guide. Okay, so now Death has abducted the princesses. I don't buy that one. I don't buy that to be true for a second. But fuck it, whatever. Let's play. You know what? It's not that bad. This game is actually kind of fun. Reminds me of a little bit of Zelda. It's a puzzle game that relies on time travel. There's even future notes left behind from future Bill and Ted to help guide you. But like I said, it needs a walkthrough. Once I'm done with this video, I'm gonna go back and I'm gonna beat this game. It is fun as hell. Not $200 worth of fun. Just casual, 20 bucks fun. You know what? We're on a good roll. I can't believe I haven't heard of most of these things before. Very exceptional. Very satisfied. Alright, what's next? It's, Bill and Ted's Excellent Video Game Adventure. Video Game Adventure. Game Boy Adventure? Video Game Adventure. Bravo. You did it again. You did it again. Got a good feeling about this one.
Hello, darkness, my old friend. I've come to talk with you again, because a vision softly creeping
What the fuck? What the fuck? What is this shit? Okay, so the game starts off normal. You meet Rufus in a random ass field. Some historical figures got moved around by some hooligans. And we have to go find them. Alright, cool. First, find out in the phone book where you have to go. Nothing is easy in this game. Flip through pages, memorize a number, and here comes the first king. Either wait for the time booth to go through the entire obstacle, or skip it by launching it forward. When you arrive, you are blind. There's no compass, there's no map. Now, what the fuck is with this angle? Up is right, right is down? I don't even fucking, it doesn't line up. While playing, I literally have to turn my controller to the side. So when I have no clue what to do. If I talk to people, they either tell me that I can find some shit somewhere, give me shit, or tell me to fuck off. None of this makes sense. So I ended up looking it up, and this game is literally fucking terrible. I can't even explain how stressful this is. I have an advantage. I have the fucking internet, and it's still impossible to figure it out. Smooth. First off, who the fuck is regulating these time machines? Huh? How can these hooligans acquire it and do so much damage? It's your job. What the fuck, Rufus? I tried passwords to go to different levels, and it's the same shit. Instead of knights, there's cowboys, revolutionary British soldiers, and fucking Beethovens. I can't. I literally can't fucking do this. This has to be the only flop. right? Thanks for watching part 1. If you enjoyed this, stick around because part 2 will be done shortly.